I've warmed this cup of tea twice already. It's sitting right here, and somehow I still haven't taken a sip. I suppose that says something about where my mind has been lately. It's quiet this morning, the kind of quiet that doesn't ask anything from you, and I've been sitting here longer than I meant to, not doing much, just thinking. My name is Eleanor. I'm 77, and recently I've found myself going back over my life, not all at once, just in pieces, moments that come back without being invited, and I've started noticing something I didn't see before. For a long time, I believed I was being responsible with my life, making sensible choices, moving forward the way I was supposed to. There was always something ahead of me that felt like it needed attention first. Something to take care of, something to improve, something to secure. And I never really stopped to ask where that pressure was coming from. It just felt normal. Looking back now, it doesn't feel like I was choosing those things. It feels more like I was following something quiet but persistent. And every time I thought I was getting close to where I needed to be, the picture would shift a little. Not enough to question it, just enough to keep me moving. I accepted that for years. I thought that was just how life worked. You move forward, you improve things, you get closer to something better, and if it still feels incomplete, then you probably just aren't there yet. So you keep going. I think a lot of that started when I was young. My father worked long hours, hard work, physical work. He didn't say much about it, but you could see it in him. The tiredness stayed, even when he wasn't working. There's one moment I remember clearly. We were standing at a store counter. Nothing unusual about the day, but I remember him counting out coins, slowly, carefully, and I remember the sound they made. It felt louder than it should have been. I also remember becoming very aware of everything around us, the people behind us, the waiting, the silence. No one said anything, but I felt it, that quiet kind of pressure you don't really have words for yet. I didn't think about it in a big way at the time, but something stayed with me, a kind of decision without language. I didn't want to feel like that again, so, without realizing it, I started shaping things around avoiding it. Later, that became working harder, trying to do better, be more capable, more secure. From the outside, it probably looked like ambition, and some of it was. But underneath it, there was something else. As the years went on, there was always something ahead of me, another stage, another version of things that would feel more settled. I don't remember ever arriving there, only getting closer to something that kept adjusting itself. There were moments I should have stayed with, but I didn't, not because I didn't care, but because I thought there would be time later. Later felt dependable, like something I could count on. I remember telling myself more than once, I'll come back to this. This can wait. And sometimes it could, but sometimes it couldn't, and I didn't always notice the difference. There was a day years later when something I had worked toward finally came together. Everything went well. People were pleased. It was exactly how it was supposed to go. And afterward I stayed sitting there, longer than I needed to, just sitting, not upset, not disappointed, just waiting, as if something was supposed to arrive with it, something that hadn't shown up yet. I didn't stop to examine that feeling, or the lack of one. I simply moved on, to the next thing, the next goal, the next step, and the pattern continued. It's only much later that I've started to understand what that was. I wasn't really chasing those outcomes. I was expecting them to change how things felt. And they didn't, not in the way I thought they would. These days, I notice different things, not big achievements, not milestones, just ordinary moments, sitting by the window, letting the light come in without rushing, remembering something small I would have ignored before. Even the quiet feels different now. If I could go back, not to change everything, just to adjust one thing, I would stop treating life like something that begins later. I would notice it while it's happening, because those moments don't announce themselves, but they're the ones that stay, and once they pass, you don't really get them back, not fully. And I think that's what I didn't understand, not until now. And it's a strange thing realizing something like that this late. Not upsetting exactly, but noticeable. Like walking into a room you've been in many times before and suddenly seeing something that was always there, but never quite registered. I've had more of those moments lately. They don't come all at once. Just small realizations that sit with me for a while. Sometimes when I'm folding laundry, or standing at the sink, or walking past a window and catching my reflection without expecting it. I don't see the same person I used to measure everything against. I don't think in those terms anymore. There's less comparison, less urgency, not because everything is settled, but because I've stopped expecting it to be. And that changes the way things feel. Not dramatically, just enough. I used to think that once things were in place, I would finally be able to relax. But what I didn't understand was there was always another version of in place, another condition, another requirement, something else that needed to be handled first. And so rest kept getting postponed, quietly, almost politely, until I stopped noticing I was doing it. Now, when I sit like this, with nothing urgent to attend to, it feels unfamiliar in a different way, not uncomfortable, just new, which is odd considering how simple it is. There's no achievement in it. No progress to measure, nothing to improve, just time passing, and me actually noticing it. I think that's what surprises me the most. How much of life can pass without really being seen, not because it's hidden, but because your attention is somewhere else, always just slightly ahead, focused on what's next. What needs fixing, what needs finishing. And there's always something, there always was, but now I can see that not everything needed to be treated that way. Some things didn't need to be completed, or improved, or turned into anything else. They were already enough as they were. I just didn't recognize them at the time. I thought meaning had to come from movement, from progress, from getting somewhere, but a lot of it was already here, in moments I didn't stop for, conversations I rushed through, evenings I spent thinking about tomorrow. Instead of noticing that the day was already ending, it's not regret exactly, it's more like clarity, a quieter kind, one that doesn't demand anything, just shows you something you hadn't fully seen before. And once you see it, you can't really go back to not seeing it, even in small ways. I notice how I move through things differently now. I don't rush as much. Not because I'm trying not to, but because there's less pulling me forward all the time. Less of that feeling that something important is always just ahead, waiting. I don't feel that the same way anymore, and I didn't decide to stop feeling it. It just faded, gradually, as I started paying attention to what was already here. And I suppose that's what I would have needed to understand earlier, not in a dramatic way, just enough to notice it while it was happening, instead of always looking past it, toward something else that I thought mattered more.